Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of Exceptional Clearance by William J. Caunitz, narrated by George Guidell. This work is copyrighted 1991 by William J. Caunitz. This recording is copyrighted 2001 by Recorded Books. When a young woman is brutally murdered in New York City, the NYPD are at a loss to explain what caused her wounds. And wounds just like them on another murder victim discovered a few days before. Now Detective Lieutenant John Vinda is rescued from the dead-end limbo of missing persons cases and charged with doing whatever it takes to close the file on the psychopath. And now, Exceptional Clearance.
Chapter 1. The night was cold. November's snow banked deep along the curb. A young black woman climbed up out of the subway at Bergen Street, a shopping bag filled with gaily wrapped presents clutched in her right hand, and her pocketbook wedged tightly against her body. Waiting for the light to change, she gazed across Flatbush Avenue at the limestone fortress that was Brooklyn's 78th Precinct station house. A policeman was in front of the station house, fitting tire chains around the wheel of a patrol car. She looked to her left and saw the sign in the window of Pinchik's Decorating Center proclaiming a mammoth pre-Christmas paint and wallpaper sale. The clock in the window read a little past 7 o'clock. The light changed. The woman looked in both directions before stepping off the curb and starting across the wide avenue. A car sped by, its tires churning up a wave of slush that she barely avoided. A blast of frigid air made her tuck her head deeper into her coat's upturned collar. Stepping onto the curb on the other side of the avenue, she spotted two crack dealers loitering on the corner of St. Mark's Avenue a block away. Her pace quickened as she neared the sullen men. She turned into St. Mark's Avenue, hurrying for the safety and warmth of her home in the middle of the block. She sucked in a mouthful of air, savoring the clean sense of life that it gave her, increasing her feeling of accomplishment and worth. Thelma Johnston had been free of drugs for 5 years, and off the welfare rolls for 2. Life was looking good to her again, real good. Instead of going home after work tonight, Thelma had decided to do most of her Christmas shopping for her 2 fatherless children. She was determined to make this holiday the best one yet for her kids. There were still 32 days remaining before the big day. Thelma wanted to get the shopping behind her so that she would be free to put in as much overtime as possible during the holiday rush at her job as cashier in Jerry and Ben's clothing store on Court Street. She looked up at the moon. Dark patterns etched its barren landscape. Hurrying along the deserted, windswept street, she became aware of the muffled clop of her own booted feet and quickened her pace. She heard a movement off to her right and had started to turn to look when something cold and horrible shot out of the darkness and clamped over her mouth. Her eyes widened in terror as she was hoisted up off her feet, her legs and arms flailing in the night. Her children's presents tumbled over the snow. "Dear Jesus, protect me," she prayed as she was bodily lifted into the dark on the side of the brownstone stoop. Something was pressing in on her. Her terrified eyes stared up at her attacker. She felt his warm breath on her throat. Her body shook with fear, and she begged God's protection for herself and her children. Suddenly, she felt a pinching sensation in her throat, quickly followed by an overwhelming feeling of suffocation, and then, as abruptly as the nightmare had begun, it was over. She was free, floating along in a crimson abyss, with the inaudible words, "Help me, help me," forming on her lips.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.